This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a very fresh morning here on Djuma. It says 11 degrees, but it feels quite a bit colder. We're just trying to warm up this morning. We're just waiting for the sun to break the crest there. Try to warm us up a little bit. But we've got Lauren this morning with us at Djuma, Japi at Ngala, Dean at Phinda, and JP at Prideland. So get on your couch and join us on a live safari through the African bush. Welcome back, everyone. You might just hear a vehicle driving past us. They're getting started for the day as well. Apparently last night there was a pride of lions hunting here on quarantine. We haven't seen any tracks yet. But good morning, my name's John T. We've got Davy on the camera with us. And we are going to go see if we can catch up to a pride of lions today. That's going to be our plan. It is so nice and crisp this morning. If we get lucky, they might roar. We can hear some southern ground hornbills in the background. But it is chilly today. It's even gloves. I've got a longer pair of shorts on than usual. And some gloves. So just take a minute here, just enjoying the sunrise. Can you? I don't know if you can hear the ground hornbills in the background. Such a cool sound. While we enjoy the sun coming up, you can have a look at the weather at the different locations.
Hello, boy. Good morning. Yes, we do see you. Everybody sees you. Aha. 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 This is a young boy who's just full of nonsense right now. I'm going to keep my eye on him, though. Aha.
Good morning, stations. John T. Mobile.
Hello, John T. Hello, yes. You just want some attention, don't you? They walked right up to the car, these two boys. But this one is just... Can we get a head shake? Uh-huh. This is just boisterous behavior. Right at the car. Hello. Oh, you're pushing the car. No. No, we're not going to push cars. You can't let them get away with this type of behavior. But just quickly, hi, my name is Lauren. I do have Darren on camera. Yes, and now you're going to go away. Mm-hmm. Now, there was absolutely no signs of aggression there, really. I mean, he's got his ears up, but this is a young bull. And we spotted them far off in the distance, and the two of them were tussling. And Darren and I were just talking about how young boys will always be young boys. Whether you're talking about fish, Just going to keep talking. You're going to throw vegetation at us now. That's not very nice. whether it's a fish, even an insect, boys will be boys. They were tussling, and then this young boy, yes. I'm gonna get a head shake. Another head shake. Okay. You have a jolly good day, you handsome thing. I'm gonna get another head shake. Okay. 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 You're much bigger than us. Yes. Good morning, everybody. Well, that was quite the start to the sunrise safari. My goodness. Now, if that was a bigger bull or a cow, I would not have been so relaxed. No signs of aggression, the body language that we do look for, although they don't always display that. But that really was a boy. He walked all the way along Texans Road, we're on the Hyena Den Road, and he came to the car. So he's just been extremely curious and extremely boisterous. But they are still over here feeding, so let's take a look at them. My goodness. So everyone, I must remind you, that all happened live. Yes, it all happened as you saw it. And that means that you are able to talk to us because we're interactive. You can do that in a number of different ways. So let me just tell you how. You can use the hashtag WildEarth on Twitter. You can use @FC on the YouTube chat. You can also head over to the WildEarth website, register, and as long as you've registered, you can submit your questions on the live safari page. Kids, if you're watching, your questions tend to be absolutely fabulous, and they always throw us under the bus, and they always make us think. So please do send in your questions via email, and the email address is kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. Oh, look at that big cow. That's a cow, I think. She's got a big tear in her ear. Do you see that? Her left ear. No, maybe it's a bull. I need to have a little bit of a better look in between those front legs. Darren, I'm just going to go forward a little bit so I can get a better look at this individual, because we've got lots of elephants to the other side as well. Just zoom into this big one with the tear in its ear and those front legs. Yeah, it's a bull. Smooth forehead. It's an older bull. I think we've seen this bull before with the tear in its ear. I think we know you. Have you been the gentleman that's looking after these naughty young ones? Yes, ma'am. My plan, since I'm on Texans Road anyway, which is the Hyena Den Road, for those of you that are not familiar with it, recently been named. We're going to quickly check the Hyena Den. Then we will go and see if Miss Kalamba is still around. Now, I just want to address something. Many of you are asking, how do we know it's Shimbulu this passed? How do we know? We did see the body. So I just do want to clarify that. As I mentioned yesterday, it's 100% confirmed that Shimbulu is no longer with us. As sad as it is, we definitely know that information for sure. So I just wanted to clarify that and put anybody's mind at ease. What a lovely morning sighting. When the elephants breathe, you can also see the sort of breath coming off their mouth and their trunks, which is quite sweet. You can see not one of them are flapping their ears. Do you see that? The ears are pinned back to try and retain heat rather than lose heat. Theo, sadly not. They're not territorial. They have really large home ranges, naturally, because they're such large animals that move great distances. So they're not territorial, so they don't reside in one area. And the fences of the Kruger are no longer there anymore, so elephants really can travel all up and down the sands and into the Kruger, and they need to. They need to move. They're highly mobile animals. They have migration routes sort of imprinted in them from the matriarch. And believe it or not, if you were to follow an elephant herd, you can actually see the predictable seasonal patterns that they do take for food and water. But we do recognize individuals. Fang's herd is one that we probably recognize the most, but they have to have some sort of visible key identification feature that allows us to identify that individual conclusively, and then we can recognize that herd. There's nothing like fresh dung in the morning to go with your coffee. Are you enjoying that smell, Darren? Darren's not enjoying it so much. I love it. Fresh, hot, early dung. Wow, what a great start. I do think I'm going to bumble off to just check the hyena den now, but I believe Mr. Yappy wants to say hello.
Good morning and welcome to andBeyond Ngala, where this morning we are on a search for leopard in the Timbavati riverbed. Now, we've been taking a really slow drive in this section because yesterday they had a female leopard in this particular part, and we suspected it might be the female with 2 cubs. Now, when you do look for leopard in these parts, it's very tricky. It's lots of places to hide. There's a lot of these reeds in the riverbed, and then there's also a lot of small dry riverbeds, or some of them are basically just runoffs into the big riverbed, as you can see just over the reeds there. Now imagine you're a small little leopard cub that doesn't quite know the world that well yet. These little cubs are just over 2 months old at the moment, and we suspect that they've just started eating meat. Now what's good about a quick stop like this in the morning is you can, if you're nearby the area where they were left the previous evening, there's a good chance that they might still be in that same area the next morning, unless the mother's moving them. And those moves are usually in the early morning when they're still this young. And when we sit like this, I often try and listen out for any other sounds that might alert us to the presence of a leopard. Maybe birds calling or alarming. Monkeys. The monkeys sit up high on the trees. If you have a look at the top of the trees, you can see the sun's rays have already fallen on those parts of the trees, and that would be the best part for a little monkey to warm up. So, while we continue our search and have another look in this area, we'll head over to JP, who's on bushwalk. He'd like to say hello.
Good morning and welcome to WildEarth. We are live on Bushwalk and Eco Training Pridelands. It's an icy cold morning. It's probably some 8 or 9 degrees Celsius if I have to take a guess. And we're just waiting for the sun to rise. We started our walk this morning at Leopard Dam to see if there's any tracks that we can follow up and see what's happening in the area. So my name is JP LaRue and behind the camera we've got Craig. So our plan for the morning is to see what the tracks is doing around the dam and see where they're heading and if they're worthwhile following up on. And meanwhile, we're going to offer you a beautiful sunrise.
On board we have a very special guest joining our live safari today. We have Sue Fogel, who has bought a ticket to Dream.
It was an easy decision to purchase a ticket to Dream because I've been working with animals for my whole life, and I think what WildEarth does here, bringing live safaris into your home, is just remarkable.
If you want to go on safari with a WildEarth guide whilst honing your bush knowledge and of course featuring in one of our shows, then head over to our website.
Well, since I've been watching for such a long time, I thought it would be a good idea for me to come here in person.
Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer and you could be making your first ever on-screen appearance.
If you have a chance to do it, I highly recommend it. To feel the sun on your face and the wind in your hair and to smell the smells and just kind of be in the animal's presence. It's undescribable. I highly recommend it.
Across southern and East Africa, the Endangered Wildlife Trust works tirelessly to save species, protect critical habitats, and benefit people. Join the EWT in returning wildlife to the wild. Go to ewt.org.za to find out more and follow our socials to see how you can get involved. Protecting forever, together.
My name is Ross and I'm a field guide at andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on WildEarth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
We've seen these ellies really chase wild dogs before. Let's get into the spot. There we go, here it comes. Look at that, isn't that amazing?
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth Daily.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. We've just taken a moment to watch that sun come up, slowly just coming above the horizon. My name is Dean, and behind the camera we've got Johan. Like I said, we stopped on one of the hills here and we were just watching the sun come up. Just over to the distance there we've got one of our sort of more permanent water holes here, and to our left we've got another one. You can see a bit of mist starting to come off the water there, just to the right of the watering hole wall. As soon as that sun comes up, it'll burn a lot of that off. It won't take long for that to disappear. Yeah, Liam's saying Phinda landscape always looks so green, sort of all year round. It does. It is quite lush, especially compared to places like the Sabi sands and that, where it does get quite a bit more drier than it does here. It'll still get a little bit more dry than what it is now. This year we had quite a lot of rain. We've been quite fortunate. So the bushes are still looking very green. You'll also notice the grass is not swaying around like it was yesterday. The wind has died down. We're going to carry on exploring. I think at some stage we're going to be going up to the northern part of the reserve. In the meantime, you're going to head over to Jonty.
It is a lovely day indeed. So we were fortunate. One of the vehicles radioed us we were about to head off and start doing a big tracking mission. And they told us they saw these lions lying in the open area in front of Gallagher Camp, which is very cool. It is the Telemati Pride. And while we've been waiting, they started off in the sort of shade. Now you can see the sun is on them. They must be loving that warm sun. Just warming them up. For now, they look very, very settled. Often in these winter mornings, you'll see this initial part of the morning, which will be the coolest. They'll rest and enjoy warming up a little bit. And then they might have a brief bit of activity, sort of before it gets really hot in the middle of the day. But right now, just enjoying that sun. There's a fork-tailed drongo, busy calling as well in the background. Yeah, he's up at the top there. This is Justine, you're on time. That one there. Let's listen to him call. Beautiful. That's a fork-tailed drongo. There was some Natal spurfowl making a noise. Oh, cool. Okay, everyone. This is... Geez, we just missed that one. So everyone who's watching at home, let's see if we can identify this bird. Let me get my book out so I can show you. So have a look, see if you can see what color on the eye, any distinguishable features. Looks like a bit of yellow around the eye there. A little bit of barring on the chest. So before I put you out of your misery, I don't know if anybody wants to send in what they think it is. You see, it's quite nice. There's Gabar goshawk. That's a good shout. Anyone else? You see on the tail feathers there, there's those two black spots. Stuck in bed, that sounds like a good place to be. A grey falcon? No. Okay, well, let's do a little, if I've got something to point with. I'll show you. So I'm just going to show you in the book here. So I've got my pointer. So you can see this is, I'm pointing at a Gabar goshawk here. So this is a black morph, which obviously we're not looking at. But you can see the coloration here. See, it's a bit more grey. It's got black bars on the tail and sort of a reddish tinge to the beak. So let me turn. I'm just going to turn the page down there. So now when you come to the bottom here, see, I think it's pretty cool to showing us, you could see those two black spots on the tail. It's quite rufous with this diagnostic pattern on upper side of tail and a yellow eye and eye ring. So I think this is a little sparrowhawk busy warming up there. Now we can go on to the bird and check. Like mottled there on the back. His feathers aren't sitting so good. Must just be loving that morning sun. So a crested barbet calling in the distance. We're going to enjoy the sun warming us up here. We're going to head over to Lauren.
She's in the tree. Our princess. I can't tell if she's sleeping or not. Oh, no. Sorry. I eat my words there. Hello, Kalamba. I have to say, seeing a leopard up a tree is one thing. Seeing a leopard up a tree with the morning light, that golden light, 10 out of 10. Now, she made this kill yesterday. Everyone is a female diker. Immediately after leaving the Jackalberry and the Mulwati, eating Tandy's diker, she just came onto Djuma and made her own kill. And I don't really think she was hungry yesterday. Now, we'll never ever really know what a leopard is thinking, but she stashed it and then she came down the tree and she didn't return for a long time. So I don't really think she was hungry. I think she saw an opportunity. She obviously saw a diker come extremely close. And she knew, I can get this. This diker doesn't know I'm here. And she went for it, got lucky, and then stashed it in her little pantry. She's listening to all the birds, I think. That is picture perfect. My favorite bird call, one of them, doo, doo, doo. Chin spot baptist. Doo, doo, doo. You hear it? 3 blind mice. I have about 5 calls that I just love. Sir 50, yes, those golden rays, my goodness. That's what you want. For photography, that's really what you want. Natural, gentle, soft, warm light, rather than that midday harsh light that comes from sort of above. She just looks glorious. Doo, doo, doo. She's sleepy. She's thoroughly enjoying the sun. Of course, animals need sun too. Warm up, vitamin D. It's probably been an extremely cold night. I can't even begin to imagine. I think she's just thoroughly enjoying the morning rays. Oh, that was a big sigh. Sorry, I was just checking. There's another vehicle joining the site. Just making sure we're not blocking the path. Another wonderful thing about a leopard up a tree. Everyone can get perfect views. My second favorite bird call. Doo 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 doo. Doo 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 doo. Orange-breasted bush shark. question. You really sort of use your own discretion, to be honest. Now, one of the rules we do have in place as a guide is don't park directly under the tree. I mean, in this situation, we can. It's in a drainage. Well, we probably could. But don't park directly under it. That's really not advisable. So you sort of use your own discretion. We're quite far. Obviously, we have a really powerful zoom, so we can always stay a little bit further and still capture the essence of the moment. You use your knowledge of the individual. Obviously, I've been here 3 years now, so you do get to know the individuals intimately. Now, for example, Kara. She's a young leopardess, younger than Kalamba, our little hookadulu. Many people don't like that nickname, but I love it. And I think since what happened to Hukamuri is no longer with us, we should definitely still use it. But Shidulu and Hukamuri's daughter, for some reason, she's just really skittish. She seems to be quite relaxed up a tree. But on the ground, she's not. And she seems to be okay with one vehicle, a little bit on edge with two, and not okay with three. So that's why we do limit the vehicles with Kara. It's just her nature. It's just her personality. Something has clearly happened. I can't possibly say what. So you use your knowledge of the individuals. You use your knowledge of the environment. Don't want to get your vehicle in a tricky position. And you've also got to think, if this leopard comes down the tree, where can she go? You need to give her space to be able to move from the tree as well. So there's not really a distance. So you sort of use your own discretion. But I mean, we're quite far away right now, say 15 meters plus. The animals are used to vehicles, they're very habituated, but you must always just give them space. And if the animal comes to the vehicle, like Mr. Elephant this morning, then that's that organism's choice. You always try to give space. She's watching a grey go-away bird, I can see it. It's jumping from branch to branch, and that's what she's watching. It must be thoroughly entertaining. What reserves are you talking about? In South Africa or in the Sabi Sands? The Sabi Sands itself, we're in the northern sector. Djuma sits at the north, just under Buffelshoek of the Sabi Sands. And it is well known for its high density of leopards. But then there's also a lot of leopards in the Kruger as well. And leopards are very adaptable to any habitat, really. They're very adaptable, which makes them so successful across the world. But here in Africa, they do prefer riverine systems. And here, although the Mulwati is not flowing, the Mulwanini is not flowing, or the drainage lines are not flowing, it's still a riverine system. What you've got to remember is that although you don't see water flowing in the Mulwati, there's still water there, 100%. So sometimes when you talk about a river, you should always talk about the river system. There's so much more to it than just flowing water that we automatically think of as a river. And that's the habitat that leopards show preference for. So in the Sabi Sands, of course, you've got the Sands River, you've got all sorts of different rivers, and that's what leopards show preference for. So it's really the ideal habitat for them. And they're just a very successful animal at adapting towards whatever conditions, whatever environment is before them. But there's lots of reserves throughout South Africa where there's lots of leopards. They're just not necessarily habituated, and we're very, very lucky here that our leopards are so habituated. Really, they're very relaxed, they're used to vehicles. And that's why we can spend so much time with them. If you think of Mulwati, although it's a little bit frustrating that we don't get to spend time with him, he is an ideal, perfect leopard in terms of leopards. Leopards are normally shy. They're normally elusive. There's areas in the world where you can see there's leopards. You can see the scat, the tracks, all the signs, the claws, the sawing at night time, but you don't see them. Because they're really not habituated. They will not for one moment let themselves be seen. And Mulwati, in terms of being a leopard, is the perfect leopard. Oh, these birds. Are they keeping you awake, Tlalamba? That's not very nice. Well, my morning is made. I'm definitely not going anywhere. But someone who is going somewhere is JP.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. At the moment we're looking at a number of different bird tracks at the edge of Leopard Dam. The first one that I found over here that I would like to share with you is that of the Egyptian geese. If you have a look over here, we can see 1, 2 and 3 toes pointing outwards. And then over here there's a slight marking of a web. And this is very important for ducks and geese, is to have this webbing on the edges of their feet so that they can propel themselves forward when they are swimming through the water. Another track that we quite often find around here is that of the blacksmith lapwing, which is one of the birds that we often see on the show. And you can see over here 1, 2 and 3 toes pointing forward. And they're quite long toes, which enables them to not sink into the mud. Another regular visitor that we have at the dam over here is a tiny little wader that is known as a three-banded plover. And here we can see his tracks as well. There's also a number of other animals that came down to come and drink. However, most of the tracks have been pretty much smudged. It seems like if it's quite a few of them, it's been warthogs that's been also stepping in over here into the mud while they came to have a little wallow. We're going to continue and go and see what else we can go and find.
The annual Safari Guide of the Year competition aims to create awareness for those men and women who dedicate their lives to tourism and wildlife. This year's event will be held at Marataba, a breathtaking privately managed section of the Marakele National Park in South Africa's Limpopo province. In celebration of this, WildEarth and Marataba Luxury Lodges are offering all explorers a chance to win a 3-night stay at Marataba Safari Lodge for you and a friend. In addition to a spectacular land-based safari, Marataba Luxury Lodges offer an opportunity for guests to cruise peacefully along the Matlabas River, watching the animals as they drink and wallow. The lodge offers you a chance to lie by the pool or enjoy a spa treatment, and one night could be spent sleeping out under the stars in a luxurious treehouse. Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer before the 30th of June, and it could be you heading off on a long-awaited getaway. WildEarth Explorers. It's in your nature. The Wildlife and Environment Society of South Africa, WESA, encourages people to care for the earth. Through innovative projects, they aim to reverse the serious issues that we face in the world today. One of these projects is Green Coast, a proudly South African award for sensitive and well-managed coastal sites. This sustainability project protects our national coastlines while providing unemployed youth with a love for their environment and a hope for the future. WESA is a membership and volunteer-supported organization. Every supporter is helping to change the only earth we have. Visit our website to see how you can help care for our earth.
I love being a cam up for WildEarth. The animals coming right up close to you, especially like lions. Sometimes you get nervous, but you have to go with the flow. My favorite animal to film is the elephant because of how big it is. But when it's really up close to you, it's one animal that you would say, I really respect you.
Welcome back, everyone. On our way north, we came across these two giraffe. That's the only two we can see so far. There might be a couple more a bit further into the bush. If you have a look at the top of those little horns there, there's ossicones there, you'll notice there's quite a bit of hair right on the top. That tells us it's a female. And that's one of the reasons why I say there might be a few more. The females don't tend to be on their own. There tend to be a couple more. See how that one was reaching sort of to the top of that tree. That's where you find the most nutrient-rich leaves.
Around the bush.
Moved off. Looks like he's just gone around, or she's just gone around. Let's see if we can get another view. Asking, do the females ever fight? Oh, there he is. No, generally they don't. I haven't seen them fight before. Normally just the males. Oh, there you can see another one just past that one. Spotted a couple of zebra to our left, also in the grass. They're so well hidden. Okay, you can just hear the red bulled oxpeckers flying overhead. It's actually quite nice to see how well those stripes work. You can see how they blend into the grass like that and break up the outline of the animal. So it makes it quite difficult to single out just one zebra. It's also really cool to see the different layers of, or different colours and layers of vegetation. We've got the grass here, a bit further you've got a green thicket, and then in the distance you can just see the mountain range. It is a lovely scene indeed, very peaceful. Just hear the bush starting to come alive, hear the giraffe feeding. I think we're going to carry on down this road and slowly make our way north. In the meantime, you're going to head over to Lauren and her leopard. Oh, just startled that one giraffe, shame. How beautiful is that in the light? Looks like Lauren's signal might have died a little bit, which is not a problem at all because we managed to get this beautiful view of this giraffe. I love that little mane that runs down the back of the neck there. It always looks so neatly trimmed and runs right down to the back of the shoulders there.
I would like to make my way as a service from Forest Access.
Lucas is asking, are giraffe the only herbivores that can eat thorn trees? No, not necessarily. So I've seen elephants do it also. They'll grab a whole clump of leaves and thorns. Just going to go a little bit more forward, so definitely elephants would do it. I think maybe giraffes are just a little bit more suited. They actually don't get the thorns. Let's see if we can see it now. But what they'll actually do is they'll sort of curl their tongue around the whole branch and they'll skim all the thorns off. So they don't necessarily go for the thorns themselves. But very thick lips and a tongue. Let's see if I can go a little bit more forward. Hopefully we can see what I'm trying to explain. Oh, how's that silhouette? A little bit difficult to see with the sun shining against us. But if you have a look at some of those little branches that are sticking out, you'll see there's no leaves on them, but the actual branch itself is still there. So basically just skim all the leaves off. Oh, you can hear that gorgeous bush shrike in the background. A lovely sound. So we're going to try and carry on with our way up north. So we're going to head over to Yak, who's also on the move.
So we've had no luck this far with any of the signs or any tracks of this leopard, any further signs. So we've decided to stick near to the Timbavati riverbed, which is always a good spot for anything really. And the other side of the riverbed, where we are, there's quite a large bend within the river, and because of that, the sun hasn't quite reached the section that we checked first this morning, and it's still quite cool there, where this particular part now, the banks are starting to get lit up by the sun's rays, and it might be good for creatures to come down and come and warm up a little bit. Now I know in the big trees here, there's occasionally we'll find blue vervet monkeys sitting up and warming up in the early morning, and it's quite exciting to have a look at their antics. But for now, I haven't seen any signs yet or heard anything yet. But what's amazing about this particular section is there's lots of large rock beds near us, off to our left-hand side, and this particular part of the river is very, very rocky. And what I do like about this area is, because of those rocks, it prevents the water after the rains from ciphering down into the sand and disappearing. And if you have a look here, you'll notice there's quite a lot of elephant dung all around us. And that elephant dung is from the elephants that come down to these parts to come and dig for water. You can see there's some piles stretched out there in all shapes and sizes. Looks like some herds that's moved through this area. Now, from what I can see, it looks like the water's dried up in this area, but there's still water underneath the sand. And even though it sometimes makes it tricky for us to drive in the riverbed because of the way the elephants dig here, they do perform a very valuable function, which is actually making that water accessible to other creatures. Something as small as birds all the way up to kurus and other antelopes in the area. So, because of that, it's always a good spot to check the riverbed. And the Timbavati's been a seasonal river for quite a while, but it is known for the pools of water that it has. In this particular area, at one point, we used to have a pool that lasted most of the dry season, and it was so large that it even sustained hippos. But of course, what we're looking for is any tracks to see if there's any further tracks of that leopard. Now I can see a lot of tracks. If I got the name correctly, Gretchen, how much of this riverbed are we able to cover? As over 19 kilometers, which is a massive stretch of riverbed. Sorry, my apologies, Bridget. About 19, just over 19 kilometers, which is a very, very long stretch. And if you like, you could actually spend a whole drive just driving the riverbed, having a look, seeing what's happening in it. There's lots of great bird life in the riverine forest that grows on the bank, and that also sustains smaller antelopes. And then, of course, nearby there's the floodplains, which attracts the animals like the impalas and the giraffe and some buffaloes on occasions. I've seen a lot of buffalo tracks this morning and buffalo dung. Looks like it might be buffalo bulls. And they would have been quite active early morning, actually. So there's a chance that some of them might have decided to move down into the riverbed and come and lay down for a little while and chew the cud. When they initially found the leopard yesterday, it was not far from where we are, just off to our right-hand side. And I think she was maybe moving around this area to try and see if she might find some prey. Maybe impala that's feeding somewhere up on the banks here. So that's why we're checking here. She might have done the same loop again during the night, left her cubs. But we'll continue with our slow drive along here, and in the meantime we'll head over to JP, who's on bushwalk still.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. We've been looking at a number of interesting tracks as well as other field signs this morning. One of the field signs that we managed to find is these little pale white pellets that we have found on this open area. And these have been made by a scrub hare, which is one of the close relatives to a rabbit that we find in this area. So quite often we do find our scrub hares at night when we're out on safari, and they tend to always like to run in front of a vehicle. I find them particularly fascinating is that their strategy is that they want you to catch up with them, and then as soon as that you are close to them, then they will change direction. They're one of the very few animals that can change direction without actually having to slow down, while most predators have to slow down before they can actually follow them. Coming back to the dung, it's fairly light in color. And what I do find interesting is that they actually re-eat their own feces. And this feces was made most likely at night at some point and has been discarded and has not been eaten a second time. However, the dung that they reproduce in the daytime is re-eaten. And the reason why they do that is because their digestive systems is fairly poor, and that they would like to gain the maximum amount of nutrition as well as absorb all the different minerals and B vitamins out of the dung, but it was not absorbed in the first ingestion. There's quite a few species of animals that actually will re-eat their dung or the dung of others. And we often find that elephants do this as well, where the little ones will actually feed on the mother's dung so that they can inoculate the gut with the necessary bacteria to assist with the digestion of their food. Actually, no animal can digest plant material, and they can only digest the plant material with an association with a bacteria that lives in the gut. And most ruminants, like the antelope species, it's rumen bacteria that will actually assist with breaking down the food into a usable form so that the antelope will be able to get the necessary nutrition from that. These little pellets are also quite useful if you always want to keep a few of them in your pocket. And one of the things that I've used to learn from them is just to simply crush them when you want to check what is the wind direction when you want to approach an animal. Quite a few guides will actually use ash bags. I'm not very fond of using an ash bag as it stains your clothing normally with white ash. Some guides will kick the ground. However, I would also like to discourage you when you are tracking or trailing an animal to kick the ground, as the animal will hear these sounds, and we often underestimate their ability of hearing. And this will very quickly give away our position as guides when we are trailing an animal and force the animal to move off because it's a natural sound. We've also got a number of darker pellets that we found over here. These belong to impala. And these little dark pellets, which we can see over here, they don't break as easily. And the reason why, they are very, very compact. And this is because with impala being a ruminant, they re-eat their food in a second ingestion, but it doesn't get past. What happens is that the food gets re-chewed and then passed through the different stomach chambers, and all the nutrients then gets absorbed as well as all the necessary moisture gets taken out. It's a very effective method of digesting your food and gaining the maximum amount of nutrients from what you've eaten. Also has a wonderful strategy. The strategy is that you can eat and then you can retreat and you can go and chew your food in the shade, or you can get away with quite a few, with a full first stomach chamber of food without being caught off guard by predators, so that you don't go hungry if you get chased away from an area where there's good feeding. We also see monkeys and baboons and mice and rats do a very similar thing, is that they actually stuff their cheeks full of food, and they'll only start eating when both of those cheeks are full of food. We're going to head off and go and see what else we can go and find. As we move off and search of some more tracks and field signs, let's see what Lauren is up to.
She's looking at every single bird in that tree. The go-away birds are not keeping her happy at all. Look at her. Just want to see what she does. Oh! She just pounced to try and catch a go-away bird. Typical cat being a cat. Curious about everything, every noise, every movement. Vanessa, I'm not entirely sure why you would think we would see them together. They're related, absolutely. Tandy is their mother, so half-sisters. But I'm not sure why you think they would be together. Leopards are solitary. Yes, we see a lot of interactions between leopards because there's such a high density here that we were referring to earlier. Oh, she's coming down. But they won't spend time in one another's company, really, unless it's a mating pair or mother and cub. Darren, I think if I go down a little bit, we're going to get lovely views. So Kuchava and Klalamba, they're both territorial females. They both need to sort of keep their own territory for themselves. You won't find them interacting. There we go. Would you look at that? Unless they bump into each other, they happen to be in the same area. They may be squabbling over a carcass, but they won't. There's no bond there. Although I do firmly believe leopards interact a lot more than we think they do, they're still classified as solitary. They still go about their day and navigate the landscape here in a solitary manner. Where are you gonna go now, girl? Oh, toilet time. Yes, we are watching you, dear. I wonder if she's going to just rest at the base of this tree or if she's going to go back up. She's going to go walkie. Are you ready to off-road, Darren? I think we definitely will be able to get up this hill. It might require a little bit of oomph, but I think we can do it. And let's just see where she's going to end up. She's going to... My goodness. Okay, here we go. Okay, I am going
to try. Hopefully, we'll be able to catch up with Miss Kalamba.
On board, we have a very special guest joining our live safari today. We have Sue Fogel, who has bought a ticket to Dream.
It was an easy decision to purchase a ticket to Dream because I've been working with animals for my whole life, and I think what WildEarth does here, bringing live safaris into your home, is just remarkable.
If you want to go on safari with a WildEarth guide, whilst honing your bush knowledge and of course featuring in one of our shows, then head over to our website.
Well, since I've been watching for such a long time, I thought it would be a good idea for me to come here in person.
Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer and you could be making your first ever on-screen appearance.
If you have a chance to do it, I highly recommend it. To feel the sun on your face and the wind in your hair, and to smell the smells and just kind of be in the animal's presence. It's undescribable. I highly recommend it.
Take 27. I'm Carol from Chicago, USA. This is me 5 years ago. No music, no editing, real time. I was hooked. Thank you so much for that, WildEarth.
I had lost my job and I also lost one of my pets. So WildEarth has seen me through very hard times, and I just want to thank all of you for being there for me when I needed you most.
We love you. We start and end our day with you, teaching our grandkids all about nature through you, your wonderful educational safaris.
We really do appreciate being on safari with you, especially when it's cold and wintry in Canada.
And considering we've been in lockdown for 18 months here in Saudi and I've not been able to fly back to South Africa, I want to thank you for bringing your safari back into my life every single day and night. I love it, love it, love it.
My name is Lauren and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below.
Welcome back with us, everyone. So, quite exciting. There was an update on the radio that there were some wild dogs found. So there's been absolute pandemonium. We managed to help the guys find them again. But unfortunately, they moved to an area where we had no signal. So we've just rotated out and let some of the other vehicles go in. And we're just standing by for them to start moving again. It actually looked like they had made a kill. I didn't see properly. I don't know if you saw, David. I just saw this last bit, maybe a duiker or a young impala. I'm not sure. Some hyenas also turned up. It was for a brief second, it was complete chaos. And so now we're just waiting. They're not far in that sort of direction over there. They came in from the south, so it'll be interesting to see if they continue a little bit further north into Djuma or if they're going to head straight back south. But nothing like the word madash on the radio to just cause absolute chaos. But very exciting. We were actually on standby 1 and we were making our way sort of to get close by, the way these dogs move. And Dov and I spotted a hyena running, and we just thought, that hyena's definitely chasing something. They'll often tail the dogs. Dion, I'm not sure at all. Hey? We just saw 5 adults, and we were there literally for 35 seconds, and then we had to leave because we obviously had no signal. So I didn't get a proper chance to look. If we get another look, I'll try have a proper look and see if we can figure out which pack it is. But yeah, the hyena is what led us the 3 vehicles that were looking for the dogs had already sort of leapfrogged them by 400-500 meters. And the hyenas led us straight to them, which was very cool. Luckily, they were on the road still. So now we're just being a little bit patient. We're going to keep waiting here, and you're going to head over to Lauren and see what Tlalamba's up to.
Good luck, John T. I heard the dogs were around. I knew it was probably going to be a bit tricky. We managed to get up that hill. I don't quite know how. Darren, are you still there? Yeah. Yes, he's here. I didn't lose my cameraman. And she's now fallen asleep. I think those grey go-away birds were definitely keeping her awake. Now, just to correct myself, yesterday I said there was no bone in a leopard's tail. Of course there's bone. I don't know what I was thinking. I do apologise. People definitely like to bash people on social media, don't they? It's a vile culture that we live in today. The guides do their very best out here. Sometimes our brains go to mush, sometimes we're very sick and we still go live. Sometimes we have personal problems and we still go live and we still smile. We have 3 different radios to manage, a cameraman, a camera, and all of you viewers to entertain. It's one of the best jobs in the world, but it's really not easy. We have signal to think about, weather to think about, equipment to think about. And sometimes we get it wrong. So yes, leopards do have bone in their tail, very small little bones that are part of the tailbone, which is what humans lost. We do have that coccyx, which is one of the most painful things to injure if you ever fall on it. Ouchie. But they do have bone. I apologise. Enough of the bashing online, please. We're able to show you the African wilderness every single day for free. And love that you all jump on board with us. Kalamba loves it too. I'm surprised she's positioned herself in the shade, I must say. If I was her right now, I would be in the sun. Although it's not a warm sun, really. It's a cold winter sun, but it brings a little bit warmth. Timothy, you think Tlalamba has been the most entertaining the past 2 weeks? She always is. Really, when Tlalamba is being the best version of herself, she's so entertaining. She's young, she's curious, she's full of energy. And that interaction with Tandy and Mareebs, I'm not sure if you all saw it. It is circulating online somewhere. On Little Gowrie was unbelievable. I wish there was more we could sort of get into depth about leopards. Did Tlalamba know it was Tandy up that tree? Is that why she went up the tree? Did she know it was just her mom? Did she just know it was a leopard up the tree and she just wanted to kill? I mean, we'll never be able to prove that, but it really fascinates me. Tlalamba went into a scenario with 2 other leopards, which could potentially be dangerous. It was, of course, Tandy and Mareebs. Mareebs is young, but I just wonder if she had the prior knowledge who it was exactly up that Jackleberry. But you're right, Timothy. Tlalamba's also always entertaining. In that position, if you just look at that first hump, Darren, you see that first sort of bulge, that's her shoulder blades. That's how excessively large they really are. And of course, they're built that way to allow for all sorts of muscles to attach, more muscles than we have, which helps them hoist not only themselves up trees, but also kills. I'm mean, if you think of us going to the gym, I can only lift about 5 kg, maybe 10 at a push. And that's just standing still using a piece of equipment. Imagine hoisting yourself up a tree, defying gravity, and then having a prey species, let's just say an impala, in your mouth. Wow. You're all commenting about how beautiful she is. She is just stunning. There's really something quite wonderful about being in a leopard's presence. Nature humbles us all, as it should, and that's why we do these safaris, to show you everything that happens on a daily basis, as much as we can. I'm sure there's a lot happens that we don't see. But it's just a nice dose of reality. What's important in life. And how many of these animals out here really struggle. It's survival. It can't be easy. Everything comes at a cost. Like Kalamba lost a cub, or possibly cubs that we're not aware of. Life out here is hard, and it's a constant battle to survive with the elements, predators, enemies, resources. And when I spend time with Kalamba like this, it's a nice dose of reality that what's important. She's definitely fallen asleep. I think she's got her face nestled in her paws and in the vegetation for a little bit of warmth. So we are going to sit here with our beautiful leopardess, and I believe Yappy is still searching for his.
So we have heard some impalas alarming in this area, and we found a group of impalas, and they were all spread out looking in different directions. So they weren't sure where exactly the threat that they were calling at was coming from. But we found fresh tracks of a female leopard on the road, and it's heading in this direction, and I think we literally just drove past her. She must have heard us coming and just dipped down into the tall grass where we won't be able to get to see her. Now what I'm thinking is that the impala saw her briefly. She was busy hunting this area. She got noticed and she wanted to move out of the area. That's usually what they do. Once the impalas pick up on them and they start calling at them, then the leopard decides to make its way out of the area, because it's no use trying to hunt prey that's already aware of her. But she'd like to keep that advantage of being unseen, so move out of the area quickly and then hide from where she might have another attempt, or just move away from the attention that's drawn to her. Now, that's why I'm going very, very slowly along this road. It's quite rocky here and the tracks aren't clear on this section of the road, but I think she either cut the corner and just went parallel to the road where we couldn't see her, in which case there's a chance that she might be moving back towards the riverbed side and then I'm hoping that we might pick up on other fresher signs of her. Now, looking for leopard in this morning sunlight can be quite tricky, especially if the sun's very bright. There's still a lot of shadows that's falling over the wet grass. So with the markings on a coat, which is like a combined spot, and we call it the rosette, and then she's got like this almost golden color down the spine, halfway down the flanks, and then it starts getting lighter, like white, but the spots are throughout, breaking up the outlines of the animal and kind of creating that effect of mottled shade. In which case, it aids her to move through areas like this unseen, and it'll be very, very tricky for us to spot her. We're actually going to have a lot of luck. It's not easy looking for something that doesn't want to be found. So, while we have these fresh signs, we're going to drive here very slowly, stop every now and again to have a listen out, but we'll send you over to JP in the meantime.
Good morning and welcome back on Bushwalk. We just found another interesting tree over here, which is known as a wild pear dombaya, which is one of my favorite flowering trees. And as I hate winter and love spring and summer, this is one of my favorites purely because it indicates the approach of spring. And this is also what the name means in Siswati, the herald of spring. At that time of year, it starts making beautiful white to pinkish colored flowers. It's a fairly easy tree to identify when the flowers is on, and also if you combined looking at the leaves of this plant. They've got round leaves, but it's got a very unique sandpapery texture, and it has been used to sand down little pieces of ornaments that people would have made. Well, with a tree also associated with spring, quite often people start looking for a little bit of love in spring. And this is when this plant becomes quite handy for making a charm, as it's often used for making a potion, for making a love spell, for if you would like to fall in love with somebody. I also find it interesting that the tree's wood is incredibly hard and resilient, and that it's often used in rural areas for making fence posts, while the inner bark of this tree is also often used for making rope. A few days ago, we were actually making a piece of rope from the inner bark of a tree that I would like to show to you. If you have a look over here, this is basically 3 different pieces of what we rolled, and then we started plaiting it. It's a little bit dry at the moment, but this is a piece that we've created. And just to show you how incredibly strong this rope is, and almost can't break it. And you can actually use this for pulling a donkey cart. It's not the only tree that is used for rope. Quite often we find that a lot of the different species of, like knobthorn, the inner bark is quite useful for rope. The species of trees like the false marula that we looked at yesterday, and then obviously also our roundleaf dombaya, or wild dombaya, pear dombaya that we have over here. We're going to see if we can walk on and find a few more interesting things to share with you. As we move off, let's go and see what Lauren has found.
Luckily, I've got my leopardess. I am genuinely shivering here. I am that cold. You may be able to hear it in my voice. And that's me, a human with 4 layers on top. Multiple layers on the bottom. So you can only imagine how the animals feel out here.
Now, if we were in the shade, it would be a different story, but of course. I mean, if we're in the sun, it would be in a different story. But of course, we're in the shade and it's really, really chilly. And that's why all the different species out here have got to adapt, whether it's estivation, not quite hibernation, but estivation for reptiles and amphibians, burying deep into the ground where there's sort of that band of warmth and not coming out until the first rains again next year. Developing more hair, so you've got a thicker coat. Becoming nocturnal, or shifting to become more nocturnal, because at least you can be mobile at night time. Eating more, adapting your diet, possibly. There's lots of different things across the board that animals will do in response to the colder temperatures. And it's all instinct. This is normal. Storms are normal. Cold weather is normal. These hot, sticky, sunny days are normal. It's sort of the annual cycle of life out here for all the species. Okay, I'm going to sit here with Kalamba, and you guys are going over to Jonty.
So we have made it in. How cool. Look at this. Dogs lying on the road. They've finished what they were eating when we arrived. There's still some hyenas sifting around in the area. That is so cool. It's always so special to see wild dogs. Unfortunately, they lay down now. So, like I was mentioning earlier, it was absolute chaos on the radio because they're running, they're busy hunting. So it's very difficult for vehicles to stick with them. And we were just fortunate that that hyena crossed our path and led us straight to this little gold pot of dogs. It's interesting how confident they are with hyenas around. But it's also a numbers game. If there's more dogs than hyenas, they'll be a bit more relaxed. Also, so he looks like a young hyena in the background there. Oh, it briefly appeared. So they'll just be sniffing around for scraps. Oh, Critter Freak, I'm glad your day has been made. Darwin are super amped as well. It is interesting. Hyenas, a good friend of mine, Grant, we always saying, like, when you see them active and running with their ears forward, tails up, it's so exciting because they are hearing and smelling something. I'm trying to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Are there 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, there's six dogs here. I must say, I'm not 100% sure which pack this is. So I'm just going to talk on the radio. Go ahead.
John T, are you in charge of the Midashlock?
Negative. Rexon's in charge. I'm just the second vehicle here.
Rexon, come in, Rexon. Rexon, I'm just leaving the Talamati. Can you put me in the lineup for those Madaj? Yeah, so we said you was tortured traders is alive. I'm not sure who was next on the lineup, but you look like the one first and right. Okay, copy. Thanks, Rex.
The hyenas come right by our side, so they're kind of just walking around the peripheries, trying to make sure that they can get, if they can find a leg bone or something to gnaw on.
I'm leaving the Talamati there.
I don't know if that... We're going to just stay here for a little bit. You're going to head over to Phinda for another dozy predator.
Welcome back, everyone, to andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. Well, as I was mentioning earlier, we were going to venture up a little bit north, and this was the reason, or one of the reasons. So it's, as you can see, 2 male lions. The other one's just a little bit further past this one. Both are lying down. The one closest to us only a moment ago had his head up, but his brother on the other side hasn't even lifted his head since we've been here. Nectar's asking which pride are they in charge of, and that would be the North Pride, the pride that's in the northern part of the reserve. There's 2 males up here, and then until quite recently there was also 2 males in the south. Oh, he lifts his head a little bit. There he lifts his head. Juliet's saying this male's got a beautiful mane. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. He's got a stunning mane. Nice and dark. It's beautiful, especially towards the end. If you have a look towards the edges of his mane, how dark it gets. And it runs down all the way to his chest. Stunning. You'll see he's just starting to shut his eyes also. You can also see their stomach's quite bloated. I think they've, if not last night, maybe the day before, might have had a kill actually. I did smell remnants of a carcass on our way in. So I do think they might have had a kill at some stage, and probably not too far from here also. Oh, there's his brother starting to lift his head. Oh, there he lifts his head. Oh, how is that? What a shot. Jerry's asking a pretty interesting question. Why do only male lions get manes? So with the male lions would serve sort of as the protection of the pride. So those manes, if you have a look, you'll see, notice how thick they are. So they do serve as a bit of a shield, especially around the vulnerable areas on the neck. So when they do clash with each other, it'll just help them and protect the neck a little bit more. Where lionesses wouldn't have to protect the pride as much as a male lion would. So they're sort of at the front line of that protection of that fort for their pride. So they would need something to protect their vulnerable areas, like the neck. They just protect them against other males when they do clash. Also, you can see how prominent it is. So that mane also serves as somewhat of a signal to other males, showing how dominant he is and how powerful and healthy he is. So sort of like a signal. Almost like a peacock effect. Difficult to see from here, but you can see the male a bit further from us has got quite a few more scars and scratches on his face. Those of you that have been watching the show over the last couple of weeks here in Phinda, there was a clash between the south males and the north males, and unfortunately one of the south males was killed during that fight. But the two north males didn't leave the clash unscathed. They both bear a few more scars than what they did before, especially the male that's a bit further in from us. He's got a few scratches around his face. And he had quite a big bite mark on one of his legs.
The annual Safari Guide of the Year competition aims to create awareness for those men and women who dedicate their lives to tourism and wildlife. This year's event will be held at Marataba, a breathtaking privately managed section of the Marakele National Park in South Africa's Limpopo province. In celebration of this, WildEarth and Marataba Luxury Lodges are offering all explorers a chance to win a 3-night stay at Marataba Safari Lodge for you and a friend. In addition to a spectacular land-based safari, Marataba Luxury Lodges offer an opportunity for guests to cruise peacefully along the Matlabas River, watching the animals as they drink and wallow. The lodge offers you a chance to lie by the pool or enjoy a spa treatment, and one night could be spent sleeping out under the stars in a luxurious treehouse. Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer before the 30th of June, and it could be you heading off on a long-awaited getaway. WildEarth Explorers. It's in your nature. For many years, WildEarth has taken viewers from around the world to the Mara Triangle, a place of majestic beauty and abundant wildlife. But it wasn't always like this. Before 2001, it was infested with poachers. Illegal harvesting and hunting was rife. Now the situation couldn't be more different. The hard work and dedication of the Mara Conservancy has revolutionized this magical land. But now, the loss of revenue from tourism has created a grave crisis. The Mara Conservancy needs help if they are to continue protecting the reserve and supporting the local communities whose livelihood depend on its survival.
It's a huge privilege to be in these incredible places with these amazing animals. I love filming lions. When they do get up and do something, it's always spectacular. When they are playing, are incredibly fun to watch, especially sabots and cubs. I love being in the bush and working in these incredible places with these amazing animals. We want to bring it to you so that you can almost feel like you're right there and be able to experience it and enjoy it the way.
Good morning and welcome back on Bushwalk. We just found a group of elephant bulls, but at first we had to walk around them to make sure that they don't smell us. Then the second thing that we made sure is that we had the wind from behind in our favor, as well as that we had the sun in our favor. So the sun is currently behind us. As they don't have great eyesight, they don't really have ability to see us, as long as we're in the shaded areas. But the moment that we start making shadows, they normally pick up those shadows. And we're just going to make our way slowly up this dam wall, where we've got sufficient amount of cover. And we're going to sneak a little bit closer where we can safely view them. I can see them. They're right in front of us. We're just going to position ourselves over here in a little shaded spot, and then we're going to bring the camera straight onto them. There we go. Awesome. I'm just going to make myself as small as possible as well, that they don't see me, as well as that my shadows blend in that fat of the vegetation. Awesome. I came to have a drink. There's a few very big individuals in this group. This is an all boys group, so bachelorhood. These bachelorhoods generally consist out of any age groups from between 12 and 15 up to 25, sometimes older individuals as well. As mentioned on a few of the previous editions, from 25 years onwards, they can start actually competing with other bulls to be able to get access to females. Beyond that point, they very seldom will go into must. And we find that if they do detect bulls that are older than them, that's in must, they actually identify them by smell and they switch off their must immediately, because they know if these larger males find them, they are definitely going to come and give them a hard time. Sometimes we find that the young bulls will associate with much older bulls as well. And they're basically doing is they're learning from their experiences, just like that it would happen in a breeding herd, where the cows would learn from the combined skill and learned experience from the older cows within the group. Is one of the individuals in this group. I want to see if we can get a view on him. He's got a pretty big tusk, but one of his tusks has actually been broken off. Good morning, Trevor. When it comes to elephants, they've got exceptionally good smell, but where we are at the moment, the wind is in our favor, and that's why we repositioned so that they couldn't smell us, because we don't want them to be able to detect us by means of scent. Because they're smart enough to come and look for you if they don't know what's going on around them. They've also got fairly good hearing, but when it comes to their ability to see, their eyesight is particularly poor. And where I'm sitting at the moment, I've got the sun behind me, which is also creating another way for us to be able to be viewing them without them actually seeing us very easily. It's not a strategy that only us use. We also find that a number of birds of prey use this strategy, and Vero's eagles are one of those birds that love using this strategy. They will use the sun from behind, and then they will sometimes also work in a pair where they will distract rock hyraxes and then attack from that point. So a very effective method of concealing yourself. Just coming back to these guys drinking, they are water-dependent species. They generally come and drink once a day. We sometimes see that some individuals will come twice a day into areas where there's sufficient groundwater available. And then on average, they drink between 120 to 160 liters of water. Also, for those of you that have joined us for the first time, quite an interesting fact is that they can slurp up anywhere between 7 and 12 liters of water in the trunk and then push that into the mouth. If I have a look at some of the older bulls in this group, they're definitely in their late 20s, 30s. So they'll definitely be... There's something that's disturbed that elephant on the opposite side of the dam. I'm not quite sure what it is. We do know that there's a leopard that hangs around here quite often, and it might be his scent that has disturbed them. We're going to spend a little bit more time with these guys and see what they get up to. But let's go and look at what John T is doing with the dogs.
Wow, so the dogs have moved a little bit. The one got up, they're sort of settling in that shade there. The one on the left, oh no, it's gone down now. But it is amazing, to see these, the numbers sort of depends which articles you read, but sort of anywhere between 350 and 450 individuals in South Africa. So incredibly special to spend some time with them. I think the count in Africa is about 6,500, maybe 6,600. So any time you get to spend with them is so good. Darwin and I were actually saying they're tricky to film normally because they're always running around and just going crazy. So it's not quite nice to actually have them lying down. David, I don't know if you could, that one's front paw. So their front two toes are actually fused together, which is quite interesting, quite a unique footprint that they leave. I wonder if it actually shows it in here. I'll just have a look and see if it's got it in this little tracking book. No, it doesn't really show it as it is. This is amazing. It's not the best tracking book there.
Question from Shay. Have you ever heard of people keeping them as pets?
Shay, that's a good question. I know Harry Wallater, who was a warden in the Kruger Park, he said he did try once, but he said they don't domesticate very well, and they're very stinky. And they also need such a lot of range to move, to cover. So that's the only person I know who had tried and was unsuccessful. I see those massive ears taking in all the sounds. So you might hear some of the other guests busy talking. They're also enjoying this sighting. I would love to see what it was that they caught, just for interest, but I don't think there's anything left. What's also amazing is that this sighting, we are not far from where Lauren's sitting at the moment. Maybe 300, 400 meters at the most, I'd say, in a straight line. It's incredible how these things can happen in the same place. That one's quite alert. It keeps picking its head up. I don't know. We can't see from where we are, but maybe those hyenas are still moving around on the periphery. Stay with his dogs. You're going to head 300 meters over, see what Lauren's got.
Yes, I don't think the dogs are far away at all, and I think Miss Kalamba here knows that. She's been very alert. She's not sleeping anymore. Don't worry, though. Predators the dogs might run in if they smell something or if they chase something, but Kalamba has that additional skill of being able to get up a tree, any tree, really. So please don't worry, but yes, they are very, very close to one another. Predators cross paths regularly. It's not uncommon for all of the predators out here, even the aerial predators, to cross paths. The lions were also extremely close to Kalamba yesterday, the Talamatis. They ended up on quarantine at the end of drive, and they were hunting as we were having our dinner. Not hunting us, they were hunting impala on quarantine. We've all taken to eating our dinner in the kitchen. It's far too cold to sit outside. Unless there's a fire, unless we're able to all sit around that fire. She can definitely hear. Constantly twitching those ears, constantly listening. Oh my goodness, Darren, would you look at that shot? Leslie, protection. Hairs generally protect areas, sensitive areas, even on the human body, we know that. The sort of human hairs work a little bit differently, but they will protect those ears. If it was just a big, wide, open hole, lots of things would go inside. Think about the insects we have here in summer. Think about the ticks that animals get. I actually saw a tick on Kalamba. It's there. You see it? Just on her left side. Oh, she's just turned away. No, the other side. Her left. It's just that shiny little silver bubble. It's actually a tick. I saw it earlier. So you want to prevent things from getting inside that ear canal. So they're thin enough that it won't affect her hearing. But it just protects those areas. There'll be all sorts of things crawling on the leopards in summer. Flies, ants, mosquitoes, ticks. It's not such a pleasant thought, but naturally in summer that's what will happen. There's a crested Franklin walking very close to the car. I'm waiting for that moment that the Franklin realizes there's a leopard here, and my goodness. The sound will give us all a massive fright. Brace yourself. I'm not sure what pack of dogs Jonty's got. Do we know, Jared? No, we don't know. They don't really use the pack names on the radio here as they do with the leopards and the lions. It's either Madash or Makloa. She's not comfy, is she? Now, if Darren can just do a super wide shot, you'll be able to see. Look at that. Now, our cameras are just fantastic, but look at that. You can barely spot the leopard there. She really, really blends into the background, especially curled up into a little ball like she is right now. Leopards stand out in trees, of course, they stand out in trees, but on the ground, they really can just sort of weave through the vegetation and are remarkably camouflaged. Justin, to be honest, yes, they will. Especially when there's an opportunity. They are incredibly opportunistic, and I believe that's what happened yesterday. Kalamba wasn't hungry, she just finished her mom's diker. But there was a diker close by that obviously had not spotted her, and she was aware of that. She knew she had the upper hand, and she probably knew this was going to be an easy hunt. She killed the diker, hoisted the diker, and then just left. She didn't return until very late last night. So they're incredibly opportunistic, and you tend to find that in summer, because of that really really incredible, intense heat of a South African summer in the low veld. Whew, it's not easy for anybody. Humans, mammals, reptiles, birds. It's extremely hot. So you do tend to find that in summer they do hunt less during the day because it's just so hot. They're going to exhaust themselves, possibly dehydrate themselves. But it's not impossible. We have had hunts during the day in summer, but just generally it tends to happen less. Now, because it's winter now and it's cold, you tend to find that you will see predators hunting a lot more during the day. So they are primarily nocturnal in their daily activities. But yes, a leopard will not pass down any opportunity. Not many predators will, especially if they're hungry. We're going to keep sitting, feeling sleepy with our sleepy cat, but we're going to send you over to Phinda with their male lion.
Welcome back, everyone. From one cat to another one. We're still with these two male lions. Just a moment ago, that the one on the right actually rolled completely over. And he was also on his back with all four in the air, all four paws in the air, and we were laughing because it seemed like he was having a dream of chasing something. His paws were moving all over the place. And it looked like he was having quite a hectic dream.
Maybe we'll leave them to and we'll continue a bit further up north, eh? Yeah. Look, at some points you'll get too hot in the sun and you will move into the shade. Yeah. Obviously been quite a long night.
We did notice on his shoulder that he's got a cut, but it's difficult to see from here. Tyler's asking how many lion prides there are in Phinda. There's 3 at the moment. There's one sort of to the eastern side, sort of southeastern side of the reserve. There's one in the south. A lot of the viewers that watch quite often will know the mountain pride. And then we've got a pride in the north. I'm just going to go a little bit more forward to see if we can see that cut that I was talking about on his shoulder.
Yes.
Yeah, there you can see it. You can see how it's still quite sort of fresh, very red. I'm not too sure what would have caused that. Could have been something like the horn of something. Because it just looks like it's a single sort of puncture wound there. Could have been maybe like a wildebeest. But I think for now you're going to head over to Jonty, who's got something exciting happening his side.
We've come to reposition to have a better look at the wild dogs. And this hyena, it's so funny. it won't walk past that bush. It walks. I wonder if there's something on the ground there. She won't leave either. She just keeps doing that. That is so funny. I think what we should do is maybe loop around the other side. I don't want to drive from this side and interfere with what's going on, but I want to definitely try and see what is on the ground there. I'm going to do that. Let's go see. It's interesting. She's been doing it for like this. It's almost like she wants to bite something. Let's see if we can get a view of what's happening there. So the hyenas and the dogs, they seem to have kind of lost interest in one another, but the dogs are like pirates. The hyenas are like pirates. They'll wait for the dogs to get going again this afternoon, and they'll just follow them in the hope that they can get some scraps. Okay, so we close now. Oh, there's another hyena lying there. Oh, it was doing it at another hyena's face. That's too funny. That's so funny. Yeah, this one looks like it's got a bit of pink skin on its nose. Now it's just lay back around. Those teeth. So they're all listening back towards the road. I don't know if the dogs have maybe got up. They're going off to see what's happening back on the road. I wonder if there's not Alice, yes, I have. I've seen them have some serious altercations. I wonder what's going on here. Interesting behavior. I wonder if this is not a female that's maybe coming into estrus. The male will be very submissive if they are. I don't know if he can smell. I'm trying to check to make sure that it is a male, because they do have very similar looking equipment. But so the one that got up is a female. That's interesting. So I wonder if she's coming into or just come out of estrus maybe. It looked like he was trying to suit her maybe. You see how he's very cautious, very tentative, because she would give him a proper hiding if he does something wrong. Let's follow them back around to the road and see what the dogs are up to. Oh, thank you. Comet and Ribbon. Are those both females?
Yeah, Comet's a boy.
Well, then I'm so glad I managed to get that right. There's quite a bit of pressure on that call. But yeah, so going back, I've seen them have quite big interactions, especially when the dogs have made a kill. The hyenas come and try to harass them, and sometimes the dogs actually surround one hyena and they all nip at it. So look, there's a big log in front of her. What's he say? I'm just going to talk on the radio. Go ahead. So I just looped around to look at these hyenas. I think the dogs are on the road there.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
WildEarth knows it is critical to help as many young people as possible to connect with the natural world. We hope that by bringing the wilderness to our future conservationists, we will inspire a love for nature and perhaps plant a seed which will flourish in the future. Over the years, kids from countries all over the world have joined us on safari.
I really enjoyed learning about the leopards and the cubs and how they hunt and live.
We got to see different types of antelopes, and we also saw our male lion's tracks.
I got to learn about like different types of animals in their natural habitats.
It was like we were on a real safari, so it was kind of cool. We got to see a lot of unique animals.
That whole safari live video just inspired me to fulfill my dream of becoming a safari guide as well.
Founded in 1973, the Endangered Wildlife Trust has consistently and effectively worked towards achieving our conservation legacy. Contribute to this legacy by visiting EWT's Get Wild eShop and purchase products with a purpose.
My name is Steve, and one of my favorite things at WildEarth is getting questions from you. The type of questions that I really like are those ones that really help us to unpack and understand and really integrate the ecological knowledge and fully appreciate the importance that animals such as these Cape buffalo bring to the ecosystem. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, you're going to have to register on the website, but once registered, just head on over to the live safari page and enter your question under the live feed.
It just pretended to be dead. Oh, that was amazing. I can't. How do I it's like that is hands down the coolest.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth.
So, we haven't had a very productive morning in terms of achieving our goal that we set out to, which was to find a female leopard. For a brief moment earlier, we had some very fresh tracks, and it cut down into a very steep and dense dry riverbed that's a small tributary of the Timbavati. So after that, we haven't seen any fresher signs. We had some birds and impalas alarming on the opposite side of the riverbed, but we didn't find any clear signs of her crossing. I do think, however, that she was moving, and because of that, we're currently heading in the general direction of where the tracks went. It looks like maybe she has done hunting for the morning and she's going to go find either a spot to lay down, or if she continues, she's probably heading back towards where she kept her cubs. And from our side, we have had some spectacular views of the riverbed and the smaller tributaries. But with leopard, you never give up. You always need to stick with your plan and keep looking. They move up and down, and we know that she is definitely somewhere within this area. I think maybe she just darted off the road as we approached earlier. But one of the things that I've noticed along this section of the riverbed is there's still quite a bit of green grass here. Liam, that's a very good question. There's no update as far as we have heard. One other vehicle has gone to go check the area, but we're not entirely sure what happened there during the night. We also didn't have any clear tracks of where he went. There is just no more carcass left there and no hyena activity in the area. So I'm assuming that he's probably fed a little while last night until he had his fill and then decided to leave. There wasn't too much left of the carcass, and whatever was left, the hyenas would have finished off quite quickly, and nothing would have remained. And because he's a young male lion, he's probably off in a different direction, tried to get away from that area or any possible encounter with other male lions in that area. It's an interesting spot where that happened yesterday, because that watering hole is not far from the verge of the territory of other male lions. And those males will most definitely not tolerate him within the area. I mean, he's old enough, he's sexually matured, he's not territorial yet, but he's certainly a threat. And here we are back in the Timbavati riverbed. I thought what we'd do is we'd go past the area where we had the tracks and signs of the leopard yesterday. Just to see, because I don't think she's moved her cubs out of that area. I think she still kept them in that area. So we might have a little bit of luck yet, at least we'd hope so. In the meantime, we'll head back to Lauren, who still have her leopard.
I hope so. I hope you find the cubs. It's been an action-packed morning. I believe Ribbon's been sighted and Ngwazi's there too. But just slightly bittersweet, shall we say, that Shimbulu's not there. But Ribbon's still got Ngwazi and she's still in a good position. She's still got Ntima. And we saw the Djuma clan run past earlier. So they're obviously very excited to know the dogs are in town. They respond immediately. As soon as they smell dogs or they hear dogs, because dogs are vocal, they will, of course, respond because they know that it means they may get a free takeaway. Such a lovely close-up view. You can see how fine and soft her hair is and how thick and coarse those whiskers are. So, of course, they're modified hairs. course, Klalamba's physique has now changed. She has given birth. It wasn't successful, which is terribly sad. But her physique will have changed now. Oh, what's that? Hyenas or dogs? It's the hyenas. Straight through this gap, you'll see them. They're all here. Hey, guys. That's Ngwazi. Hi. It's Braveheart. Someone just asked me about Braveheart the other day. Here you are, girl. There you are. Oh, I'm so glad Braveheart's okay. Kalamba hasn't seen them. We're in a bit of a tricky spot. We're in a drainage line, but I can just make out hyena movements here. Ah, you came to see me. Yes, Braveheart's okay. I literally got asked that question, I think, 2 days ago, and I had to say I'm not terribly sure. I haven't seen her. Victor, leopards are longer, but I would say hyenas are bigger. Hyenas are huge animals. Now, we tend to look at them from a top-down perspective, the way our camera's positioned sort of on the vehicle. Obviously, that gives us a 360 view almost of everything that's going on. But I have to say, it does make the hyenas look smaller than they are, if that makes sense. When you walk a hyena on foot, Kalamba's not bothered. Not bothered. They are huge. They are really, really large animals, especially the big females. Naturally, the females are bigger than the males. And they've got quite a substantial body weight behind them. They are heavier. Kalamba's very slim, very petite, very short, but she has a long body. So yeah, a ribbon would be taller and bigger than Kalamba. Wow, all the sightings are happening in a very sort of similar area. I'm so glad we saw Braveheart, everyone. It's made my morning. It's going to be hard to keep track of the hyena cubs now. And someone sent me the most loveliest message saying at least Shimbulu is now whooping with Plonk, Petty and Tswalu. And you're right. He is. He's up there whooping away. The Djuma clan have lost cubs in the past, and it's normally around this stage. Kalamba, you're such a busy little bee. The hyenas will be able to smell the tiger carcass, but obviously there's dogs around as well. There's a lot happening in the one area, and naturally hyenas follow their nose. They find it really hard to resist a scent, and that's why they get themselves in trouble sometimes. I think she knows they're there now. Well, it's time to groom the tail. That does have bones in it. And muscle. I remember when I first met Kalamba in 2018. She wasn't a tiny, tiny little cub by then, but she was still so small. She has just flourished. This cat has just flourished into the most beautiful, beautiful leopardess. Fierce, but beautiful. Exactly how all females should be, shouldn't we? Fierce, but beautiful. I wish I could see down into the drainage to know what was going on. Horse lover, you're saying Kalamba is melting your heart. I know.
She's already Darren's favourite. She just has such a beautiful way about her. She's such an elegant, stunning leopard, and who is on the move. She knows the hyenas are there, that's why. She's watching them. I can't see anything, we don't have a visual. But she's very aware that they are around. But Kalamba knows her position with hyenas. Look at that tail. She knows her position with dogs. But she always has to be hyper-aware. Hypersensitive to everything that's going on. Sounds, smells. If she goes back to her jackal-berry, she'll have a much better vantage point to see who is actually around her right now. You see how remarkably still she's saying. Her ears are moving, of course. But other than that, she's really not moving a muscle. I'm also trying to listen to see if I can hear what's going on, but I can't. So we're going to sit here with Kalamba, and for now, over to Yapi.
Talking about leopard, I think that is exactly what this female Ngala is looking for. And this is quite an interesting situation because it doesn't look like a fully grown Ngala female. Looks like a young one. Standing dead still.
Tank station's hard.
The direction that she's looking is up onto the riverbank. That's a very, very dense area, that. Lots of tall grass all over the place. Tall grasses that grow in the shade. It's good food. The animals like the buffalo bulls. But also a good hiding place. Big trees. Also some termite mounds spread out throughout. That's a hyena leopard. You can easily set up an ambush in a dense area like that. So you can see the ears rotating in all directions. Every single little sound in the nearby area, every bird call that's out of the ordinary is drawing her attention. actually fascinating to watch. Large ears, pointed straight in a direction where she knows she needs to be most wary. And then also the beautiful white lines along the coat. You can see with a shade falling over it, it kind of breaks up her eye outline. GM, she's not alone. Right behind her there's another one, a young male, which actually looks to be about similar in age, maybe a little bit younger. What I find interesting is his ears tend to point more towards the back. He knows she's checking out in front, while he's checking out around the direction that they came from. See the quick jerk of the head there. Now that's because there were some birds alarming way down there. And normally they'll be in small groups. Now there might be more nyalas in this area that's just broken away because they were feeding. And we have not seen them ourselves yet. But then again, also maybe that's why they are so alert, is because they know that they're only the two of them. But what an intense moment. And all of this just to cross a riverbed. Because literally the grass is greener on the other side. It might also be that maybe they just came down to have a drink at one of the puddles in the riverbed here. There's lots of these phragmite reeds here. And they often hold the sand where they grow in these banks, and then around the edges they form these little pools. Quite clear water. It must be a very intense endeavor to come down just to drink water. And these reeds, even though they crop down so shortly, I know that there is a female leopard moving in this area, and she likes to move in and amongst the reeds. Actually, she often lays down and spends the warmest part of the afternoons in the reeds. The soil's quite nice and cool in between them as well. Deon, yes, nyalas do have more stripes than kudus. The males have less so than the female, but they do have quite a lot more stripes. Well, it's also because their color is a little bit different from the kudu. Maybe it's to help them break up that outline better. From the looks of it, out of these two, the females definitely one up in front and made a decision of where to go. The young male's just frozen there at the back. I think following her behavior, he's standing right out in the sun where she had a bit of shade on her, although the sun's now a little bit higher. And most of the shade has now disappeared now. Also, perhaps taking this moment just to warm up a little bit after moving in and amongst the cool, shady vegetation of the riverbanks. No one would think, why such a long stand to just be able to cross the riverbed? But I think the longer the better. I'd rather be safe than walk up there and into danger.
The annual Safari Guide of the Year competition aims to create awareness for those men and women who dedicate their lives to tourism and wildlife. This year's event will be held at Marataba, a breathtaking privately managed section of the Marakele National Park in South Africa's Limpopo province. In celebration of this, WildEarth and Marataba Luxury Lodges are offering all explorers a chance to win a 3-night stay at Marataba Safari Lodge for you and a friend. In addition to a spectacular land-based safari, Marataba Luxury Lodges offer an opportunity for guests to cruise peacefully along the Matlabas River, watching the animals as they drink and wallow. The lodge offers you a chance to lie by the pool or enjoy a spa treatment, and one night could be spent sleeping out under the stars in a luxurious treehouse. Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer before the 30th of June, and it could be you heading off on a long-awaited getaway. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature. Educating our youth about the environmental threats we face is critical. Our future depends on it. The Wildlife and Environment Society of South Africa, WESA, is actively leading the charge. Their goal is to encourage children to fall in love with our natural world and to empower them to live sustainably in the future. Through their school programs, the children learn to report on environmental issues through videos, articles, and photos.
The YRE program has changed my life in so many beneficial ways. Being out there at the workshops, I was entitled to talk with others, socialize, as well as my writing skills and leadership skills have improved, so it has been great.
WESA is a membership-based organization. By joining WESA, you will be helping to provide valuable support for these youth education initiatives.
Hi everyone, my name is Daniel Fisher and I'm going to be your guide this afternoon. I'm looking really forward to taking you through and showing you all the beautiful places here at andBeyond in Ngala. If you have any questions, please register on our website. Once registered, go to the live page feed and post your questions underneath the live feed. Join me on my next safari through andBeyond in Ngala on WildEarth. Send me live questions through the WildEarth website and I'll answer them live from the African bush.
And we are still here in this very intense river crossing here in the Timbavati riverbed, where that young male Ngala has now decided to take the chance to regurgitate some of the food that is eaten earlier today or earlier this morning. Might as well, I guess. Or chewing the cud. The other one's moved just across the bank in front of him, and she's disappearing. And she's slowly actually moving. You can see her just emerging now. It's amazing when you look at that, the moment they move into the shade, then you actually see how effective this camouflage is. For an antelope like this, it's actually quite an antelope that prefers very, very dense areas. It's actually quite, not too often that you see them cross straight over the open space of the riverbed. And I'm sure they realized that there was a good chance that they could have been spotted by anything nearby. Keith, they're not territorial, they have a home range, but the bulls do, the Ngala bulls do compete for mating rights within an area. And in that regard, they do establish some sort of a hierarchy where they will fight the other bulls if they are really close in terms of size and stature. And then they'll push that bulls off and try and mate with the females within the area. I always find it fascinating to watch their ears move about. It's such large ears. They do have very keen eyesight, but it's almost as if the ears, just its general size and how often it's used, like dominates everything within this particular context. If there was a predator up on the bank, he's also got good camouflage. I'm pretty sure that these Nyalas won't be able to pick up the predator from looking for them. So the hearing would be the best thing. I can imagine the situation is making everybody a little bit nervous. Maybe it gives us a little bit of a glimpse into what these Nyala are experiencing at the moment. But a female Nyala like that, she doesn't really have any other protection than her hearing and her camouflage. And that young male, his horns are still very, very small, so I don't think he'll pose too much of a challenge for a large, experienced predator. But I'll sit here, see if they do get to cross eventually. Otherwise, in the meantime, we'll head over to Lauren.
I would also be nervous and cautious if I was in a Ngala. Any antelope. Yappy's right, it can't be easy. You know that around every corner there could be a predator. Now, we left Kalamba because she went into a thicket. She moved, she can hear those hyenas, and the visual was about 0.5 out of 5. Yeah, Darren sees the steenbok that I see. There's nothing quite like finishing the drive, but I think it's the male and female, Darren. You see them? They're quite far away. And they opt for the freeze tactic, so sometimes we play the game. Yes, we can't see you. No, we don't know you're there. You see how small they are, really, especially in comparison to impala. We're not looking at you guys, I promise. But the steenbok on quarantine are particularly relaxed, particularly habituated, which is not great, especially when the wild dogs do make their way here. They may, in fact, make their way here this afternoon. But Kalamba's safe, don't worry. She's just aware that the hyenas are around. And I could only see Ngwazi and Braveheart, but it's great news all the same that, of course, Braveheart is still alive and well. I don't know if Corky was there or not. Look at you two. The male and female, they're monogamous, but you don't often see them together. So it's obviously extremely sweet that this pair are standing together on quarantine. And you can see the lights getting very harsh now. That sun's getting extremely harsh, higher up in the sky, but at least just getting warmer. It has been an extremely chilly morning. Now, you may follow WildEarth on Instagram, you may not. That's okay if you don't. But if you do, you will have seen that I am going to be joined by 2 very special guests on the 9th. Is that tomorrow? I think it's tomorrow. The days do run away here. 2 very, very special guests from one of our other locations. Jared just confirmed it is tomorrow. Thank you, Jared. I'm not going to tell you who it is or which location, but it will be tomorrow's Sunset Drive. I'm excited. You must jump on board. Lauren will be hosting 2 other guides from another location. It shall be interesting. I'll need to be on my best behaviour and find some animals. But it's come to that time of day where we must say goodbye. So thank you so much for jumping on board, and please do join us this afternoon. Bye for now.